He's an F-16 fighter pilot, been in combat, went back and got his MBA, worked in the corporate world for a while. So he understands leadership both from a military perspective as well as from the corporate perspective. And we don't have a lot of those folks out there. But more impressive to me is he's a best-selling author and just a world-renowned speaker. He's one of the few speakers that gets elevated to the highest level, where they actually have professional speakers that they rank based on what they've done and who they've spoken to, and Waldo has gotten to the pinnacle. So without further ado, I'll let Waldo speak and we'll interact also.
Great to see everybody up bright and early here, as real soldiers should be. And thank you, John, for the introduction. Air Force always following Army and Marines, so pretty standard with that. And thank you, Alex, as well, for our relationship, for making this happen. I've known Alex for many years. He did some work for me, and I think it's important to emulate the foundational principles that we learn in the military to business, and that's obviously why you're here. You know, I don't call it networking, I call it wing working, because we have to give our wings away. We also have to show up and execute. I want to start off real quickly by just showing a picture of some of my wingmen in the 79th Fighter Squadron. I'm getting ready to fly one of my first combat missions in Iraq. Late 90s, doing crazy things that didn't make the news, as I'm sure most of you are familiar. I'm third from the right, that really tall, good-looking fighter pilot over there. And all the way to the left is my commander, retired two-star General Haas Hyatt, an amazing leader, very well respected. And we're walking on the flight line, and I've got cotton mouth. I'm freaking out. Never been in combat before. Getting ready to fly this 6-hour mission. And, you know, wondering, like many of us have wondered in war, if we're going to get killed, if we're going to get shot down, become a POW, etc. So you can understand that stress. And Colonel Hyatt looks at me and says, "Listen, Waldo, I know you're scared, but don't lose sight of me today. Stay in position. Follow the plan we briefed. I'll lead you to the target." And 2 hours later, we're 300 miles into the southern portion of Iraq, 2 miles line abreast with a stack, monitoring that no-fly zone, doing a cap, supporting some F-15 fighters as well. And the radar controller calls out, "You've got enemy aircraft on your nose, 200 miles, 150 miles, 100 miles. They crossed the no-fly zone and broke the law, and we knew our job was to go after them. And then I heard Colonel Hyatt call out words that shifted my perspective in a heartbeat. He said, "Wingman, commit, commit," which were the Air Force code words for push it up. Go to full power, we're breaking the speed of sound, and those enemy aircraft are either going to be shot down or they're going to turn around, because our motto in the U.S. military, and in particular the U.S. Air Force, is not fly, fight, and survive. It's fly, fight, and win. And that story represents a few key points that I want to use to provide the texture of the 20 or 30 minutes that we're going to spend together as you guys kick off this day and push up the throttle and execute your missions. Number one, at the end of the day, it's about execution. I don't care if you show up to these events and build relationships and make connections on LinkedIn and show up to these meetings. At the end of the day, you've got to execute on your promises. We have to do that. We have to be willing to push up the throttle and hit the target. Otherwise, everything is irrelevant. And so one of those hybrid things that we learn in the military is about execution. That at the end of the day, I love flying in combat. I love my buddies in the military. I drink a beer with them. I play softball with them. I go out on the weekends with them. But the only thing that truly counted when we wear this uniform and when we're asked for help is how we execute the mission. I want you to think about that when we hang up on this Zoom call and you execute your day. That's what we learn in the military. We need to learn it and execute it in our lives and also in our relationships. But going back to what Colonel Hyatt said to me on that tarmac to help dissipate my fear, had to do with a question that he was asking me. And it was the same question I was asking him, but it didn't come out of our mouths. And that question was this: Can I depend on you? Colonel Hyatt was looking at me, and I was looking at him saying, can I depend on you, sir? Can we depend on each other to stay in position, to back each other up, to build the picture so that we can together execute the mission? And it's the same question that your customers are asking you, your family members are asking you. Perhaps they're upstairs right now as you're in the dungeon on these Zoom calls. The kids may be running around. You may be supporting someone. Maybe your wingmate is also working, as you dodge the COVID combat missions that we're on every single day. And it's the same question that you have to ask yourself when you zip up your flight suit and uniform every single day and wear the American flag, not necessarily on your uniform, but in your heart, emulating and executing on the principles that make our country free, the meritocracy, the capitalism with honor, the integrity, all those core values that we learned. You've got to trust the wingman or wingman staring back at you and say, can I depend on you today? Am I going to show up just as you all decided to today and listen and learn and give and serve? And that's what's important, because I'll tell you, even though I flew 65 missions by myself, I never flew solo. And I know you're not flying solo either. You need each other. And that's part of why you're part of the GPVN network. That's why you showed up today. And so I'm just going to share a couple quick philosophies about what I do as a leader, as a member of my community, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a wingman, a trusted partner, somebody that others can come to for help, which is really my entire brand. And I think when you look at what you do every single day to create that reputation capital as that person that others can come to for help, for banking services, for help transitioning in the military, for business coaching, whatever it is, to show up giving 100%. If you look around, my screen here, right? I've got this 55-inch screen. I got some lighting. I got this Sennheiser boom mic. I'm dealing with all sorts of crap in this new cockpit of ours, right? And so as you look at what you're doing right now, showing up with your earpieces and trying to figure out the lighting, I want you to think about how you're executing your mission. This is my job. What I'm doing right now is my job. I also do executive coaching for businesses and entrepreneurs. But if I don't show up giving you everything with good video, good lighting, good energy, who am I? It doesn't matter if I'm doing this for free or getting paid full fee. We're delivering our best. And so when you look at how you network with each other, how you give, how you follow up on the promises, I want you to look at it as a mission. Relentlessly pursuing today one or two people who you're going to connect with and say, I have somebody that can help him or her out. I want to show up and deliver and follow up and email and not blow each other off, because the soldiers are always there for each other. But when it also comes to execution, I also want you to put the focus off of yourself as you're networking today. I want you to gather a wingtip or two on motivation and leadership and all the things that we talk about, but focus every one of these calls to say, who are those few people that I'm going to execute on, and then serve with honor and take with honor. Meaning, when you're networking with some of these folks, or you're connecting on LinkedIn, trying to build a referral or share your business properties, do a little damn due diligence. And I mean that bluntly and sincerely. Sending a LinkedIn contact or a quick generic mass spammed email will not do anything for you as a decorated soldier, somebody who wore the uniform of our country, to increase your reputation capital. I want you to research your prospect. Go on LinkedIn, learn about their backgrounds. Prepare like it's like a combat mission for you. Do your intelligence gathering. Show up to your meetings learning. And marinate the stake of that relationship so that that prospect says, wow, Alex, Kyle, John, they prepared for this meeting. They didn't take it for granted. And that means being a little bit more specific and putting a little bit more time in connecting with your prospects and truly networking and honoring that relationship. And I think it'll differentiate you when you show up on your Zoom prospecting call, or if you're fortunate to meet people in person, to be able to prepare for those missions. And so I see this happening a lot. I want you to honor each other, come in with some questions, a flight plan, a specific detailed analysis, because at the end of the day, what good is your military training and your networking if you're showing up flying by the seat of your pants, winging it? Don't do that. You're professionals, and you're representing your background as soldiers and sailors and airmen and masters of your craft. So really emulate that, because I find a lot of the executives that I coach with former military, they just think by saying you're in the military is enough. It's not, because it's getting commoditized. You got to show up being different. So that's number one. Number two is setting the tone of your day and being extremely disciplined with your agenda, your flight plan, your processes as you get up. Because it's easy to be blown off target, right? We're under pressure. We've got homeschooling. We're in this new virtual cockpit, right? We're trying to learn and leverage and learn how to connect with people, sell virtually. Really, really difficult. You know, Alex Archowski is a master at that. We did a seminar a few months ago on that. But you have to retool and refuel your airframe. And what I mean by that, I'm going to use my little prop. Notice I'm using these little props here. I've got an office, so why not use it? Share some personal things about your life when you're on these Zoom calls. Take advantage of this new medium, because when you do a meeting in somebody's office, you may not have that luxury. So check this out. That actually looks kind of 3D-ish. It's pretty cool. So you're the pilot in the plane, right? You're the soldier, airman, Top Gun, and your aircraft is your business. I don't care if you're working for a company or you're an entrepreneur. This person in that cockpit needs to also refuel and retool, meaning retooling your mindset. What are your processes when you get up? What are you reading? What kind of content are you ingesting in your mind to motivate you to deal with the headwinds and turbulence and chaos that's going on in this COVID-19 world that we're in? And so what I try to do is be extremely disciplined about my day, okay? You know, I read something spiritual. I've got a book here, The Daily Stoic. Hold on a second. Give me a second. There we go. I hit the darn little clicker. I won't do that again. So Daily Stoic, little wingtips, little philosophies to feed my mind. I like to read something spiritual. I like Ernest Holmes. What are you putting in your brain? What kind of intelligence gathering are you doing to set the tone and context of your day? Or are you swiping left on your iPhone and looking at the news and the media and getting driven crazy by the politics or negativity of the world that pushes you in the hangar, paralyzed to take action when you should be airborne, pushing up the throttle, risking getting shot at, because that's what leaders do, don't we? So be disciplined about your day. Ingest something good. I like to start my day in service. I make coffee for my wife. I hug my kid. I try to be there and be present with him and try to just be around and connect. And then I'll continue reading a little something, and then I try to meditate. I don't do it a lot, but it's a good thing just to focus on clearing my mind and asking God, in my opinion, God's important for me. Hey, how can I be of service to people? How can I kick some butt and go out there and execute? So what's your plan? Are you disciplined with your day so that you can deliver the best of who you are? I don't drink decaf either, in case you couldn't tell. And then when you go to bed at night, also making sure you have your flight plan for the next day set, established, and confident. We have to extract as much juice out of that day's lemon as possible. Sometimes it's going to be tough. So be disciplined with your life. Don't fly by the seat of your pants. And once again, applying some of the military leadership principles that we learned, but don't just leverage them. Make sure you're disciplined with your day just as much as you are preparing in Fallujah with the Marines, right? And now the other thing is also, retooling your airframe, because now instead of flying 20,000 feet during daytime over Iraq with an air tanker, now we're 500 feet, 500 knots, flying night missions over Afghanistan. Different tactics, different technologies we need. So we need to retool our weapon systems and our businesses. And what I found coaching people is that many are trying to change their weapon systems while they're in the air. You can't do that. You've got to put your jet in the hangar, your business in the hangar, and say, you know what? I'm not going after targets today. I'm going to set up my technologies. I'm going to learn new tools and tactics on how to sell, how to deliver, how to give a presentation. I'm going to retool my airframe, my body, by focusing on what I'm drinking. I try to have a green smoothie every day. I work out 3 to 5 times a week, build up my heart rate, get my energy going. And that's why I write and why I come up with my plan, okay? And so retool your business, retool yourself, and stop doing what you've done in the past that may not be working today. And that's what's a blessing about this networking group, because I guarantee some of you are kicking some serious butt in your personal lives. May not be making as much money, but you're bringing joy and health and happiness and presence and confidence into your day. Share what you're doing. Because I bet there are some folks on this call right now whose biggest issue may be your health, may be your relationship with your partner. Maybe business is great and it's the outside things that are an issue. And so remember, holistically, as soldiers and airmen and top guns in our life, we've got to find those folks that are part of our formation and lift them up and coach them as well. So that's just a few little thoughts that I want to start with. I want to open it up to questions, things that are about your business that I could share based on my background. I've been, when I left the military, I got my MBA. I was in technology sales and then B2B mergers and acquisitions, commission only, okay, making $0 or $50,000 a month. Then I weaned my way into the speaking world. And here I am, 18 years later with a book and tons of blessings. But got to earn the wings every day.
Hey, Waldo, I have a quick question for you. You left the military, you got your MBA, went and did some work in some companies, but you walked into something you knew virtually nothing about, I assume, right, in the speaking world.
Right.
You talk about wingmen. I think a lot of us struggle with, how do I find those people? How did you find those people that kind of helped you navigate a completely unknown world, as a lot of these folks that change their occupations or start a new business have to figure out?
Well, first, it has to do with asking with honor. On the ladder of life, you need a hand up, right? And you also need a hand down. What I did when I left the military, I contacted a gentleman who was a retired Air Force fighter pilot. He happened to live in Atlanta. He's now 80-something years old. He's suffering from dementia. But in 2000, I contacted him. He gave me some great ideas. I asked for help. I invested in a coach, and I got some ideas on how to approach the military or approach the business world, help me with my resume, et cetera, et cetera. But I honored the relationship in that I've always took him to lunch. Obviously, I paid him, but I took him to lunch. I referred people to him. When I showed up for our sessions, I had questions. I did due diligence. And many times I think soldiers in general were afraid to ask for help. And so you honor that relationship by being appreciative, by saying thank you, writing a handwritten thank you note after your meetings, taking them out to lunch, finding some way through your relationships and expertise that you can help them out. It doesn't have to be with business. And by the way, it doesn't have to be quid pro quo. When I help somebody or somebody helps me, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to help you the same as the way you help me. You do it with honor by paying it forward. And so that's why I do sessions like this for free. Because it's part of what we do. We give our wings away because there are so many other people that have helped us out. And so don't always worry about getting a paycheck or revenue. Maybe the most important revenue is that relationship, the heart, the goodwill, the reputation capital that you're sharing because you're representing your company or your brand called you with honor. So I'm always building relationships. I've asked for help for years. And now Ken Futch, Gene Greisman, the people that helped me out, now I'm helping them out because my business has gone beyond that. And we get together. They don't buy lunch. I do. Because when I look back on my life, I always think about my favorite quote, which I didn't make up. I don't know who wrote it, but it goes like this. When you sip from the fountain, don't forget who dug the well. So always be thinking who's digging your well, and also be digging other people's well. Always think about somebody that you can reach your hand up. Maybe not 3 or 4 rungs up. If you don't want to go for the CEO, look for somebody who's a level or 2 above you, maybe on this call, and grab their hand and say, I need help, mayday, mayday. I'm going to honor this relationship. But then knowing that you've got a hand down, lifting up somebody else who perhaps is transitioning, who may be struggling in their personal or professional life, who can use the experience and the scars of character that you earned on the battlefield, both in war and in life, to lift them, because leaders lift. That's how I build relationships, John. I always say, if you want to find wingmen, be a wingman. Focus on others first. You're having a bad day, the crap's hitting the fan. Focus on others, because somebody else is in the dungeon and you can lift them up and make a difference.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Waldo, I have a question. We've known each other for years, but I think this is something I've never asked you, and I think it's relevant to, you've got to know our group is, the gist of everything is raising our economic game. So that means sometimes we get out of the service and work, we don't realize the potential that we have. So what did you do to know that you wanted to strive higher and higher and higher while feeling uncomfortable, while you knew there were some anchors in your life and things that were holding you back? What are some of those things you can share with us of how to shoot higher, feeling uncomfortable? I mean, to raise your game. You went from speaker to Hall of Fame speaker, right?
Right. And so my dad always said, do it right the first time, or don't do it at all, right? Do it right the first time, or don't do it at all. I had this coach called my dad, who wasn't the greatest coach. He did the best job he could, because no parent is perfect, right? He was a big disciplinarian, wasn't around a lot. But I remember him philosophizing. Be careful who you spend time with on the weekends was another one, right? Who are you hanging out with? Look at don't hang out with garbage. If you hang out with garbage, you're going to become garbage. So one of my keys in my life, in which I love being a fighter pilot, because in my opinion, hey, Air Force is great, flying is great, and flying fighters is great, but I wanted to be with the best. Single seat, single engine, nobody telling me what to do in the back seat, right? No offense to the 2-seat dorks out there, but I want to be around great people who are pushing me, who emulate excellence, who I don't necessarily need to talk to, but I watch, I look at. People like you, Alex, who I represent, who I respect, not just because you're a sharp guy in business, because I know you're a family man, and you're humble and compassionate, and you give. Who are you hanging out with on the weekends, folks? Who's emulating excellence? Are they the type of person that you would go to for help, that you'd want to become twins with if you spent the day and said, I'd love to be that person for a day, or maybe like, not really. When you're around sharp, caring, compassionate men and women of integrity and character who emulate core values of work ethic and all the things that are important, that's how it bleeds into you. So I like being around those people. I'm also type A, and I have high expectations for myself. People don't know this, but I almost died in a scuba diving accident 3 years into my flying career. I share the story on some of my programs. But long story short, I developed claustrophobia as a fighter pilot. I would go up on 1 hour or 7-hour missions, and I would often have panic attacks. They used to be a minute or two, and they got down to 10 or 20 seconds. But I was miserable a lot of the times flying those planes. It wasn't the missiles that bothered me or the threat. It was being strapped into a tiny cockpit for 6 hours at a time, wondering if I was going to freak out. Claustrophobia is probably not the best thing for a pilot to have, right, folks? And I would come back from some of my training missions and combat missions with my wings in my hand. I'm saying, I can't do it. I got to quit. This is too much. It was stressful, as you can imagine. But by the time I got into that squadron, those wings were back on my chest. And I said, one more day, one more mission. I could do this. I am not quitting. And I faced my fear. I built resilience one mission at a time. And I built that confidence in myself that's only a byproduct of getting shot at, of being out there in the crap, within the fear. And many of us are going through that right now. Your business may be down. You may be struggling, trying to operate in this new environment. You may not be having panic attacks, although some of you probably are. Maybe the missiles aren't 55-foot SA-3 SAMs, but maybe it's your health. Maybe your business is down. Maybe your kid's failing out of school. Maybe your marriage is on the rocks. And you got to stay in that fight. Ask for help. And also, once again, focusing on service. And this is what I did, folks. You know, a lot of times when I'd have those issues and fears, I would focus on helping people, my wingmen, my students who I would fly with. And I got out of my own head and I distracted myself from myself. So Alex, I like to challenge myself. That is the key. You're in the military. You took on a challenge to serve your country. You made a commitment and rose your right hand. You made a commitment to your spouse, your husband or wife or partner. You made a commitment to your children if you have them. You made a commitment when you said, I'm leaving the business world and I'm going to become an entrepreneur to feed my family and create a future. I am going to prepare. I'm going to do the hard work because excellence is my standard. Mediocrity is not part of my mind. I am more afraid of average than anything else. And I bet most of you can understand that. So find out what it is that drives you. What is that future goal? You know, if I became a speaker, Alex, I said, how do you become the best speaker? What are the certifications? I became a certified speaking professional within 5 years of speaking, which is the minimum time. And then I was the youngest person to become inducted into the Hall of Fame. I said, I want to be part of the best. I made a commitment. I was a fighter pilot. I talk about it. Well, now I have to emulate it. How are you guys and gals emulating excellence in your life? Not just because of your service, but because of who you are every day and who you're hanging out with, who's pushing you up and lifting you to be a better person than you were yesterday. Any other thoughts, folks?
Appreciate that, Rob.
Yes, sir. I know I shared a bit there. I got on a rant. Can't help it. I'm from New York. I like to talk. What else you guys have? Olivia, you're transitioning, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What's exciting for you? What's exciting for you? What's your biggest challenge right now?
Honestly, my biggest challenge right now is deciding what it is I actually want to do. I think that is really difficult for me right now. And as my graduation approaches in March, I just am starting to feel the pressure, and I still don't feel really any closer to knowing what I want to do.
And that's pretty normal. You know, that's a great place to start, as an empty vessel, you know, and getting to know some of these folks on this call and having those conversations. Sometimes, you know, what's important is sometimes when you're in your aircraft flying around, guess what? You could see out front, but you can't see behind you. You can't see if there's missiles coming. You can't see a lot of things if you're on fire. But your wingman or wingmam can look behind you and build your picture and help you see the things that you can't see and build that perspective. This is why we never fly solo. And every soldier, right, you understand, we go to battle as a team, right? Even if you're a Navy SEAL or a fighter pilot flying single seat, you all have all these other support staff helping us out, building the picture. So sometimes sitting down and just connecting with others and watching what they're doing and having conversation will lead to innovation in your future, and ideas will bubble up. Coming from a place of I don't know is perfectly fine, as long as you're seeking out information and opening up your brain and mind and future to the possibilities that others can potentially provide you. So hopefully somebody can give you some inspiration or a chat and maybe share what you're doing, but it's going to take some time. How old are you, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 25.
All right, so 25, right? It's a great place to start. One of my best buddies, Mike Mitchell, we rode dirt bikes together in the Air Force. He had a nose ring and long hair at 23 and 24. Didn't know what the heck he wanted to do. Suddenly he realized he wanted to serve in the military, went to officer training school, became a fighter pilot and a great leader. It's not where you start, That's where you end up. You're on a great path, Olivia.
Waldo, where do you get most of your leads? Is it from networking? Is it from what you're doing on the internet? Is it from other people that are doing speaking?
I'm with, most of my stuff is direct. Most of my business, people Google me, people refer me. My referral network is the biggest portion. I know the power of this type of group to share, to go out and say, this person delivered. Who do I know? Who can I, who can recommend me, right? And so if I have a good connection with somebody, sometimes they'll refer me, and other times I'll have to put it out there. I'll put it out there with you. If you know of some company or business leader who wants coaching or whatever, please share. And I don't fit for everyone. Don't expect your services to fit for everyone, because I believe when you're building your brand, you've got to be mint chocolate chip in a vanilla chocolate world. Meaning, some people love mint chocolate chip. It's a distinct ice cream. You've got to love mint. You've got to love dark chocolate. Breyers is the best for me. Okay? But guess what? Some people hate mint chocolate chip. If they smell it, they're going to throw up. You want to be that type. You want to be so different and unique from your character, from your business, from your website and your value proposition, that when they see you and feel you and they understand you, they know, yes, she's for me, or probably not. If they're like, maybe not good. So I want to be mint chocolate chip. I want to be somebody that says, this is the type of guy we need. We need his energy. We need his passion. We need his humility. We need his accent, right? Whatever it is, which means somebody will be like, definitely not. Waldo isn't for us. So be that way when you're building your brand. Be compelling, challenging. You guys read The Challenger Sale. If not, read it. It's a great book on challenging your prospects and really pushing yourself and your team to the next limit. So referrals are big for me. Obviously, my book's out there. I'm on social media. I'm going to share some of this contact, and hopefully you guys can share it, send it as well. Number one, if you want a copy of my book, Never Fly Solo, an audiobook, it's got great wing tips on courage and teamwork. Maybe share it with somebody. It's the audiobook. It's $20 on Audible. But if you go to yourwingman.com/NFS, put your name and email address in, I'll send you the book, share it with whoever you would like. And then that's my LinkedIn contact. You could take a picture of that. That's a QR code. I just figured out how to do this stuff recently. You can take a picture of that on the screen. And then that'll directly link you to LinkedIn. And I assume Ashley and the team will send all that as well. So I use social media, and I like connecting with folks there. It's very, very important. So use social media, make an intimate connection. Don't make it generic. Reach out. And I spend a lot of time helping a lot of other folks with their business. And I find jobs for other people. I've got a huge network of executives. I've got 20,000 plus folks on LinkedIn. I like helping a lot of people out, but don't just show up asking for help from me, winging it. I've got some folks who I'm trying to coach with some career stuff, and they're like, they expect me to do all the work. You've got to do some digging in. So if you go on to connect with me on LinkedIn and see a prospect that I can hopefully make an introduction to, hey Waldo, I see you're connected with so-and-so. Would you be kind to make an introduction? And I will do that, provided that I know that you're not going to wing it or fly by the seat of your pants when you reach out to that person. That you're going to do your due diligence and connect. And so I like customize my introductions. Alex Archowski's probably seen that. I'm very, very particular about that. So anyway, that's that. And before I forget, also, if you want to get 5 videos, these are some things that you can also share on peak performance, on being mission ready in your life, retool, refuel, some things that may be good for you or your family or your team. If you go to yourwingman.com/MR, you'll get access to 5 cool videos on peak performance. And I'm sharing these with you so that you can share them with others and get something out of them, but also watch what I do. Watch how I use video. Watch how I leverage my brand and my vernacular to drive home and reinforce my business and my content. So go ahead and look that stuff up and learn from people like me or not. take action on it, model it or not, because it may not fit you. So always look at what other people are doing and say, maybe the content may not be great, but how are they delivering their social media messaging? Look at their one sheets, their value proposition on their website. When they show up for a meeting in person, are they going into throw up mode and just blabbing about their product, or are they marinating the steak of the conversation by asking some questions, saying, hey, I was on your LinkedIn profile. I see that you went to Villanova or, or University of Pennsylvania. Fantastic. That's my son's dream school. Or I graduated there. What are the things that you could do to differentiate yourself, to make that connection, to build the rapport before you pour your value proposition out? And you'll hear me saying it once again. It's really about the character that you are and who you are and what you represent that is initiated by your military background, but it really is reinforced by who you are and your character, because they'll forget about your background pretty quick if you tick them off because you weren't prepared and didn't deliver on your promises. Okay, folks, I got to get on a coaching call myself here. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Guys, good to go? Did you have fun?
Waldo, just wanted to say thanks. We really appreciate some great ideas, and hopefully people will take advantage of getting to your website and learn a little bit more about how you've been so successful.
You got it. And I'd be happy to help you guys out in the future. There's my information once again. And if I can help coach you guys, I have a commander's call, which are top performing folks. We do group coaching. If I can help you guys out, because I've invested $25,000 in a year to get group coaching. Dan Sullivan up in Canada. If you're a coach, you should be getting coached. And it doesn't mean if you're getting coached that person always right. I wasn't 100% right today for you, and that's okay. But I hope I was able to inspire every one of you to take some action in your life, to retool your mindset and perhaps your heart set to be a better leader than you were yesterday. And thanks, Alex and John and Ashley and the rest of the team. I wish you guys continued success. Keep pushing up the throttle. And remember, never fly solo. Godspeed.
Thanks, Waldo.
And stay healthy. You got it, folks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thanks. So before we let everybody go,